Foxy Web Design. So I'm going to give you the keys to this test site um, for a little while so you can see if you like it or not. And if you do, then we can set you up with your own one. So I just want to go through some of the features of this website. We'll start with the cPanel because that's the first thing you asked about. And we'll just log into the cPanel so you can see now cPanel's pretty widely used around the world. As you can see, it's got a pile of functions here. Most of them you won't need to know about. And as I say, I am migrating my data center to new servers next week because at the moment the backup does daily backups for 2 weeks, every day, once a day. But soon it's going to be backups every hour, which is a real time saver in case you make a mistake or get I very rarely have I seen any clients get hacked or get viruses, but it can happen, and having backups in place really helps sort that out. And there's other backups too, which I'll talk about in a moment. You've got all the email accounts here. You can set up as many emails as you want, email forwarding, routing, autoresponders, all of that sort of stuff. And the file manager, that's when you get more into sort of complex web design where you really need to manage some of the files. A lot of WordPress users don't ever use any of this sort of stuff, but it is useful. And I probably won't go on. Like, I know it looks a little bit like a flight control panel, but really there's only a few features most people will use, such as the email accounts. But then, you've got the zone records and everything like that for when you've got more complex sites or subdomains or things like that. So yeah, so that's the cPanel. And just for your information, so you know how that would work, when you go into the file manager in the public HTML, that's where you see, this is all basically WordPress, as you can see, WP WordPress, WP content, that's where all the images live, blah, blah, blah. And again, you don't, when you're a, say, like normal web designer, most of the time you don't need to look in here, but because I manage so many different websites, I'm in here all the time because sometimes you've got to fix up little niggly things. If you're trying to debug something like a complex website, usually you don't need to debug anything with a simple website, but the more complex ones that you need to come in here and look at the error logs and things like that to try and work out problems. Like I say, usually you'll never have to face that, and you'll only be more concerned with building it within WordPress itself. So let's go into there. Let's log into WordPress itself. Generally, I need to type in my username and password, but I'm already in there. This test site, I use test sites all the time to build websites for people. Once they approve them, then I migrate the website over to their proper live domain. Like I say, when I give you a WordPress install, it comes with my preferred software, and all this software usually costs money every year. But because it comes with my hosting, I give you the license for what I consider really, really good software for WordPress, because with WordPress, generally you need to have what's called a theme. The theme is the software that helps give the functionality to the website. So it's quite different from Squarespace in that way, where Squarespace is just simply Squarespace plus its add-ons. But with WordPress, you actually need a theme, and there's a lot of free themes out there, but I prefer the pay for themes that have more features. They're more professional, they're faster, and the one that I would like to get you started on is this one called WP Astra, used by like millions of people, over 1 million people. So that's how many people, like 1.6 million people use Astra. It's really good software. So I'm going to show you how that works. And Astra supports all these different plugins that you'll probably need. Elementor, for me, that's my favorite. So I'm going to show you how to do it in Elementor. if you were going to do e-commerce, WooCommerce is my favorite one, and it's really built to work with WooCommerce really well if you ever get to the e-commerce side of things. All right, so I'm just showing you that the licenses are all there, so that means you can update all this software, which I recommend. I can give you videos on how to update software down the track as well. I generally recommend people update, look, at least about once a month, so everything's up to date and running smooth, and there's no vulnerabilities. Because all software, no matter what platform, WordPress or whatever, unless they patch the software, hackers are going to find vulnerabilities. It's a constant game of potato, of hackers looking for vulnerabilities so they can hack into a website. Right, I'm just going to update the last bit of this software before I jump in and show you. I'm just going to put the video on pause. I'm going to put in one last bit of plug-in for you, which will be that template library I discussed. The other cool thing about Astra is it comes with a bunch of other really useful plugins. And I mentioned the Premier Starter templates. I'll just download that before I install it, so I've got the latest version in there for you. And look, just to give you an overview of how many plugins I've got, that's how many plugins I've got. So no matter what you want to do, I've usually got a plugin for it. So I'm just going to save that Astra Premium Sites. Look, just to change subjects for 2 seconds, just so you're fully across the hosting that I offer. My website's Foxy Web Design. So it's Foxy, Foxie. It's named after my dog, which is a fox terrier. He's my best buddy and obviously the mascot. And so under website hosting, you can see the different prices. As I say, it's all about the space. So with the value plan, that starts at $180. If you need more, there's the different prices. I think Mark's got like 30 gigabytes or something. It's huge. And then this is the premium hosting, which is slightly faster. And you can see there's quite a big price difference there. But, every second counts when you come to competing with some businesses that need to be on page one and compete with Google, not just Google organic search, but also for Google AdWords, the paid search. All right. I offer domain names as well, but you've got that sorted. That's all cool. And I also offer maintenance, which means I help you every month. You get even more software, and you get my help for 1 hour each month. But I'll give you some free help to get you started anyway. You can watch this video on how to update your software, and you can also see the software library here of all the different software that's out there. But like I say, I'm going to make part of the deal that you get all the basic software that you need to design and have forms and stuff like that. Well, I guess I may as well show you me installing a plugin, because that's pretty basic stuff that you need to know on WordPress. Having said that, sorry, that's the blank page. I'll just log into the dashboard. Once you're logged in, you see that toolbar at the top, which gets you to the dashboard. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new plugin. Now, when you add a new plugin, you can see there's a lot of free plugins you can install. If you're not familiar with WordPress, it's probably a good idea if you check with me on plugins first, because not all free plugins are good plugins, and some of them can actually wreck the website. So that's why all my plugins, 90% of them are premium paid for ones that you've got a license for. And that means that they get updated more regularly, and they're kind of, there's you get better support from the plugin author, all that sort of thing. So I'm just going to install that template builder one now. It'll probably ask me for a license, which I'll need to put in as well. And then we'll get going. We'll start on the quickly design a website type thing. All right, so I need to activate the license. I'll just, for security, I'll just pause the video so no one on the video can see the license. All right, that's done. So as I mentioned, this is using Astra theme, but most importantly, it's the design, or what's called the page layout program, is Elementor. Now, Elementor I know it's got this button here that says Go Pro. I don't use the Pro version of Elementor, and that's because I use different Pro add-ons that I can give you a free license for without having to spend the money on the Pro version year after year. So I'm pretty. I've always got my eye on budget for things, and what I reckon I've got here is like the premium set of plugins that's all part of the hosting that you'd usually pay more than the hosting for if you were to start from scratch. There's one other plugin in here called Backup Buddy, and again, this is for making manual backups of the website, which is really useful during the initial phases of building, and then when you migrate to the live website. I will remove that license, however, because this is one that you actually have to pay for via the maintenance plan or a separate license for that one. But I will let you have that one just for a little while until everything is up and running. All right. So let's get started. So WordPress has two main forms of pages that you see. You see the page is like what it sounds like. It's a page. Post is very similar. Post is like a page, but posts are generally used for blogging. It can also be used for portfolios and stuff. So for instance, like if you had, like, say you had 10 different bands, you could create a different post for each band, which would mean they all have their own page. But then it's really easy to create a main page called bands, and then you can just call up the posts so that you can have a little picture of each band and they click on it and it goes to their page. That's just it in a nutshell. But basically, post is like blogging, but you can use post for so much more. You can use it for portfolios, all sorts of things. If you want more information on that, the thing about WordPress too is if you need any information about anything, it's so easy to find it on Google. If we go to Google and you can look up just about anything. I'm giving you this very basic tutorial on it. But say you Astra, they've got a million tutorials about how to do anything in Astra theme. The thing you'll be using the most is Elementor. So if you look up Elementor and basic page design, for instance, it will answer every question you've got about Elementor. So there's the Elementor website, and as you can see, here's all the YouTube videos. There would be literally thousands of them because it's like a hugely popular design program. All right. Okay, so look, let's just start with the starter templates, right? And I know you don't want to start with you want to build from scratch. That's fine. But I find it really easy. As I say, we're going to use Elementor, and you've got all these great starting designs just to get you started. All right. Let's just choose. Let's just choose one at the top. One of the more recent ones. We all love our nature. Look, let's just go with that one. Right. Here you could upload your logo to replace this out, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the template, which will just be all just mock-up sort of stuff, because I want to show you how to use it. Because there's a few different ways in WordPress to do things, and I want to show you my favorite way to do things, all right? So continue. I'm not going to do any of that. Delete previously imported sites, okay. Import customizer settings. Yep, I'll show you that in a second. Import widgets. Yeah, all right. No, actually, no. I'll let it install the widgets, but that just means there's some plugins I'll get rid of because I've got my preferred plugins. So here it goes. It's going to chuck in that template, and playing around with the templates is probably one of the easiest ways to kind of see how Elementor works. Now, just while this is loading, I can see it's at 7%. What else can we talk about while that's loading? I'll just go back to my website again. And what are we up to? 33%. It's almost there. Sorry, my little doggy wants to get in. I have to go and let him in just a sec. All right, back again. I've been pretty busy lately, so my portfolio is really old. There's so many websites I've built since then. But this one gives you a pretty good indication of what can be done inside WordPress. Like they've got a huge shop, and the shop's just got so many products in it, as you can see, different categories of products. In e-commerce, these categories are very much like posts, like I discussed, and as you can see here, you can see all the different categories for different things. You click on that category and that will take you, this is different software I've got that actually shows it in a list, and then you can go to all the different products. You've got search filters and everything. It's like, you just can't do this sort of stuff very easily in Squarespace. Yeah, anyway, so that's that. But this will all be loaded now, so let's have a look. Congratulations, view your website. So let's have a look at that. And here we have our template, all right? Now, if you're not happy with that template, as you can see, there are, dozens and dozens of other templates, and you're not stuck with that. But let's just go very quickly in here now. So we're going to edit this with Elementor. I'm pressing that button up the top, edit with Elementor, so we can go and edit this page. And I'm not sure how advanced your web design skills are, but so you can kind of guide me on how much detailed information you want. But obviously there's a background image in here. And I'm going to show you this stuff too when I build from scratch, but I'll just show you, you can just very quickly swap out these photos. So when I started this template, it's imported these photos into the library, but you'll probably want your own photos in there. One thing to keep in mind, okay, so that photo is not very big. It's only 370 pixels. So no, that's not a good website to use for a banner. I usually want to go for 1920 pixels wide, like HD. And as you can see here, this is 1920 pixels by 500, but it's a whopping great 300K. For me, that's probably too big for a background image. 300. I try and keep my full screen images to about 150K to keep the website really fast. But like I say, I'm not sure what level of design you do. Again, you can guide me on that. But say like I wanted to create here's a perfect example. So here's a picture of some waves. And when I save this picture of waves in Photoshop, right, I'll just reduce this window so you can see all the settings in there. What I want is, what I'm looking for when I'm doing a full screen picture is like about 1920. And if I'm doing a half screen picture, I'll generally go for about 1080, which is the same standards as Instagram uses, because it's a perfect balance between good quality but also low file size. And I'll take this quality right down to 10 in Photoshop, because what I'm looking for, if you can see down here, even at 10% quality, right, this is still 245K, which is quite a lot. I feel that's quite a lot, but I really can't reduce it too much more than that. Yeah, so I'm going to be stuck with 245, but I mean, you're not going to use too many full-size banners. Then I always call the picture what it is so that you can look it up later. So we'll call it ocean waves, right? I'll just save that to my desktop for now. And so again, just very quick dip there into Photoshop. I'm not sure how familiar with Photoshop and that you are, but I did want to very quickly discuss file size because that's an important part of design. So we grab that photo, we load it in. Notice there's two windows there. There's the media library, but there's also upload files. So obviously I went there to upload files, and now that photo is in the media library. We'll always be able to pull that out. All right. So now we save that, right? And we can, and obviously the update button was down here on the bottom left. You always got to save before you leave this window. And it's easy to edit the text. I very strongly suggest that you edit the text over here. Like you can enter it from here, right, water, and that's fine. But if you're copying text from another website, for instance, let's go to another website. So let's have a look for hot dogs or something. I don't know, just try and find any type of website. Okay, so Food Network, 20 best hot dog recipes. Now, say I copy that text, right? Oops, no thanks. Say I copy this text, right? And then I paste that into here, right? It looks all weird. And that's because it's actually copied not just the text, but it's copied the code from that other website. So to avoid that, you paste the text into this window and that strips all that code out, right? All right, so now this text is huge. How would we edit that? Just like in web design, you've got your heading tags from heading 1 down to heading 6, and you've also got paragraph, right? Now this isn't changing, so let's have a look why. I'll just click on there and click on that. So paragraph, heading 5, paragraph. Okay, now this is because when we've imported the theme, it's imported the customizer options, and they're a bit weird, I'm finding. You can always go in here to type, oh, I see, it's set here. It was already set at a default size. So when I press refresh, right, that means, whoops, that means I can set it at heading 4. Now it's still got all that code in there for some reason. I'll get rid of that. I'll cut and paste in there. All right, that's better. So we can go to heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, div, span, and paragraph. And again, you can edit the typography in here. You can choose whatever font you want. At the moment, it's just got Google Fonts loaded in there. Here it's got that size already set of 117. We want to get rid of that, so it's just the default. Now, you probably know about M's and pixels. I love M's, so we could try it out with 3 M's. You've got your weight there, 900. You've got your advanced settings over here. So at the moment, one of the reasons that's bleeding into that, and this has got to do with the template, is because they've set the margin at minus 50 pixels. I like using percentages a lot because it's more responsive that way. And we could just put some space between the top and between the bottom. And so you've got all that lovely flexibility. So I find it a really lovely design tool once you start getting into it. All right, I'm going to press update again now. And just go to the front page and have a look at that. All right. Just waiting for it to go to the front page. Just a sec. I'm going to turn off some other stuff I've got running in the background. All right, there we go. Now, as you can see, there's a logo there, and it's got the menu and all of that. And that's one way you can do it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to dig into the customizer. So here, when you press customize, you get a whole bunch of extra features, and we'll just have a very quick look at that. So with the customizer, you can, my internet's just being a bit slow today. It's generally a lot faster than this. When you go into global, you can change the typography. So you can change what the font family is for the body font, and also for the headings font. And you can, obviously you've got all the different Google fonts in there, okay? And you can change the weight and also the line height, which is the space between these lines. And you've got a whole lot of options. And you can also individually set up each heading 1 font, or you can inherit it. So at the moment, it's going to inherit the font family. Like I say, I'm a big fan of using M's, not pixels, because it's I'm just a fan of M's. So the way I would generally go is I'd go anywhere from 16 to 20 pixels for the body font. The line height at 1.7, I guess that's fine for now, right? And then when you go to the headings font, well, generally then I start using M's. So for heading 6, I might call that 1.3M. Heading 5, I might call that 1.8M. Heading 4, I might call that 2.3, and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to do all of them. I'll just do one more, and I'll make 4 M's for the heading 1. All right. So that's the typography. You've got colors. Now you can set up different color palettes, so you can play around with different color palettes, and then you can just pull those color palettes into this theme color. So you can see that yellow color there. There's a link color for that. If we're using that color palette up there, I can change that to green, and that should change. No, it didn't change. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, I'll show you that now actually. So buttons, here it is. So background color, we could call in that green there, or we could go back to color and change our color palette, and you can assign these as well. You can just go in here and you can either choose a color this way, right? Or you can pop in the hex code that way if you're using hex codes. Or say we're using this color palette, we come in here and go to buttons, and we go to the background color, and we could choose blue as the background color, which certainly doesn't show up very well against those waves. So we could also change that to white, and you can override this as well. I'm just pointing out that the customizer is where you put in all the global settings for everything. Now here is where the header builder is. So here is on this particular theme, the way they've done this header. They've got this simple header builder here, and you can change the logo in here, change logo, upload a free logo, or for now we'll just put in this picture of the girl. We skip cropping, and that replaces that logo picture, right? But what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to show you my preferred way of doing headers. Okay, so we're going to delete that, we're going to delete that, we're going to delete that. So there's nothing there in the header now. So we're not going to use this header basically. And we'll just have a look under general. Yeah, that's different, blah, blah, blah. Display site title, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we'll just press publish on that. And then to get out of the customizer, I'm just going to press this go away box. Now, the way I like doing headings is slightly different. So we're going to go into the dashboard. We're going to go down to appearance, to custom layouts. And there's already a header set up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trash this header, and I'm going to make a new one. Now, this custom layouts, this is so useful. You can build headers, footers, hooks, which are useful for code, like Google Analytics, stuff like that, 404 pages, and page content, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to build a new header, all right? And so we choose header, give it a title like header, and now we've got the display settings. We're going to say we're going to display this on the entire website, but we could have display rules or exclusion rules. So you could exclude this header from being on certain pages. So you can have different headers on different pages, right? So we're gonna go with entire website. Press publish, and again now we're going to use Elementor to build the header. Once you start getting used to Elementor, you'll find the Astra theme allows you to use Elementor for just about everything, which is brilliant. So here we can talk about some more concepts of the header. Now, if I go into add template, these particular blocks, some of these you can't use because they're Elementor Pro, but if you wanted extra ones, I could always insert them. Or you can also have your own template library. You can save anything as a template. You can save a page, you can save a section, all sorts of things. But I don't have any header. Oh, yes, I do. I've got the Lucid header already. So this is a previous client. I'd already built a header for them. We could put that in. Let's put that in. I'll apply the settings from the previous one. And what's that doing? Let's have a look. There's a tagline there. So the best site. Again, you've got complete control over the typography. I'll just refresh that. And now what that is doing is we'll go in for heading 1, right? Here's a phone number button. Remember, I'd already set the background to white, but if I wanted to override that button with a phone number on there, I would just click on the button and go to edit button style, and we come down. You can have a gradient on the, let's do a gradient. Color, we'll choose it from our color library. Color 1, color 2. That looks hideous, I know, but this is just to kind of show you the options there. And then change the text color to white, and actually let's make that text a lot bigger. Let's make that say 2 M's. As you can see, it's so quick. Once you get used to it, it's so quick to design whatever you want. And in here, we can swap out this image, and again, let's put the girl in as a logo, and there's our new header, and let's have a look at that. Now, one quick way for me to get back to the front page, because we're in the layout builder, I just delete all of that and go straight to the website, and here we can see the best site. Oh, but it's got all that white background behind it. Oh, what do we do? All right, so the best way to manage that, so this is when you've got a type of website where there's a logo floating over the header. Actually, there's 2 ways to do this. I'm just going to very quickly, these are all shortcuts that I use, so you hopefully get used to what I'm doing. Once you've got a header built with the custom layout thing, you can actually, from the front end, you can go in there and manage it really, really quickly. And so I'm just going to go in there and edit that header, and I'll show you why I want to edit that. Because what I want to do is click on that, what's called a section, and I want to create the height. So we're going to go into a minimum height, and we're going to go for a minimum height, let's call it 200 pixels. No, actually, we'll go 150 pixels. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I just want to have that, that 150 pixels number in my head. Because when I come back to here, on this section, under Advanced, for the margin, I'm going to click off that lock, and I am going to use pixels in this case, not M's or REMs or percentages, and I'm going to go minus 150. And it didn't quite take in my minus there, so I'll just go in there and edit that again and go 150. But that wasn't quite enough to get it. Oh, that's because I haven't updated the page. So what we'll do, this probably will work now. If we go back in there, save the page, view the page, and have a look at it. No, it actually needs a bit more, doesn't it? So I told it minimum of 150, but obviously needs more than that. So we'll just do it manually for now. I'll just select that section, and sometimes it's hard to select that section because it's behind that section over here. Fortunately, down on the bottom left, we've got a navigator, so I can just click on that section, because what I want to do is go into Advanced and just bring this up more so it reaches the top. All right. But now what I want to do is this. Actually, what I'll do is I'll use the padding settings here now to push this down more. Okay. I'm sure you're familiar with margin and padding. If not, just look that up on the internet, margin and padding. Excuse me if you know all this stuff. All right, so that's how you would do it with, and I feel I have a lot more control using custom layouts rather than the inbuilt header builder, because I can do anything with this. Like I pointed out before with that Durst website, this is a pretty good indication of a header with a fair bit going on. You've got the Durst logo, you've got a big prominent search bar. You've got a pretty complex menu there. You've got a sub menu underneath that as well. All right, so this I want to change to white, so it looks good on that blue sea background. So we'll just go into there and change that to white, which you can't see because it's on the white background, but obviously it's there. And then just press update. What else did I want to show you while I was here? All right, you've also got responsive mode. So what does this look like in responsive mode? This is what it looks like on a tablet, and that's what it would look like on a mobile phone. And by the way, all these settings, like just about every setting in here, like typography and everything like that. So say that phone button, right? When we click on typography, notice it's got a little picture of the mobile phone now. So we can make that like a lot bigger for mobile phone, right? But that will not affect the desktop design, all right? It'll still be the previous setting I had in there for desktop, all right? So really easy to design for desktop and mobile. All right, so let's go away from there again and just refresh this page, which should have fixed itself up now. So we've got white there, still that little white line up the top, but you get how we fix that now. All right, so that's how you would do it from a template. Now, very quickly, let's do this from a non-template. So building from scratch. So you saw me build the header from scratch. It's got all sorts of menu widgets in there as well too. And if you don't like all the different menu widgets, I've actually got more. So generally, I often use different plugins for different sorts of things. Now, what I'm going to do now is this section, I'm actually going to delete it. In fact, I'm going to delete all the sections, all right, so that we can start from scratch. All right, so this is basic principles in Elementor. The very first thing that you would add on a blank Elementor page is you'd press this button to get your first section. And sections have, any number of different rows, all right? So for argument's sake, let's start with 3 rows. You see here, there's 3 columns. And as I've pointed out before, okay, so if you I haven't pointed out this. If you right click on an element, you can see edit section, duplicate, copy, paste, all sorts of different options. The same goes, right, with these columns. So you can create these really advanced layouts really quickly. So we're going to start with just editing the section. And there's the different options there for layout. You can go familiar with that. There's some really great options here on, so you can put a video background in, no problem. Or we can just go that classic background. We'll put the waves back in on that background. And we'll set the position to center. We'll set it to scroll, but we could have it fixed, which would be like a parallax design. We'll go for no repeat, and we'll go for cover, right? So you might go, oh, how come I can only see this small little section of it? Well, there's nothing in the section, so we can push it out 2 ways. We could either go to padding, right? And we could put in a percentage padding at the top and at the bottom to do things, or we can just put content in there, and that will push it out as well, depending on the size of the content. So inside, like I've just said, so you've got a section. That's the basic building block. Inside the next building block is columns, right? Which I'll show you in a second as well. And then inside columns, you can drop widgets. And this is where the plugins I was talking about come from. You do not have access to these Pro widgets, so let's turn that off. However, anything that was inside Pro, you will find here under Essential Add-ons and also Ultimate Add-ons. So you can see there's tons and tons of different widgets to explore there. Let's just go with the basic widget, which is a image widget. We'll drop that in there. I usually set that to full size. And let's drop in a picture, and we'll drop in the lady again. And there she is. Now, she's at full size. She obviously isn't very many pixels wide. The original picture isn't that wide. You can drop in, let's go for a wider picture, which would be these mountains. All right. And then what other options have we got there for the image? So there's a full width image. You've got other options there, like for opacity and things like that. We'll put that up to 100% opacity. You've got some filters there, which I generally don't use unless you're going for some special effects. You've got some motion effects. So on the entrance, you could go for a fade in or a fade in and up. So different entrance effects there. All right. Now let's go back to this section again. Now to get used to this, you'll just have to go through and play, but I'm just going to show you some of my favorite features. So, under section, under background overlay, we could go with a gradient, and we could, again, you can choose colors from the palette library, or you can just choose your own. Let's go for a blue in there, right? And you can also set the opacity of that. So the opacity of that blue, like that. So I really like, you can really start layering these things. And again, if you can't find a way to do something, I've generally got a plugin that will do it. All right, so now with these columns, if I do a right click on this column and delete it, now I've got 2 columns. If I do a right click on this column and delete it, now I've just got the 1 column. If I do a right click on this column and duplicate it, once again I've got 2 columns. And if I do that once more, edit column, my right click's not clicking, just a sec. Don't know what's going on here. Just a sec. Column. Sorry. It's my mouse button. Duplicate. All right. So again, 3 columns. As well as that, you can drag these columns visually, right, like this. So really easy to do that. Or if you want to make them precise, you can come here under layout and you can go 33 and type in 33, and then that last one's naturally about 33 or slightly more, close enough. All right, just to give you a very quick look at that. Now, say we get rid of this widget. Again, if I do a right click on this widget and press delete, I can drag in a heading into here. We'll make it a heading 1. Add your heading here. We want this text color to be white, obviously, so we can see it. So we'll choose a color there. And we'll go back to the section. And here under layout, the vertical align, we can either make it top, middle, or bottom. If you go on middle, it aligns all those columns to the middle like that. So I think already you can see there's quite a lot of flexibility. When it comes to adding text, well, this is a heading widget. This is for very simple blocks of text. But when you want more complex text, the text editor can be very useful. Let me show you that in here. So here I've added a text widget and it's put in some dummy text. Let's grab some more dummy text. So let's just go to any old website. So there we go, 24-hour roadside assistance. We'll copy some text from here. Now, remembering when I copy from another website, it's going to bring all that code in there with it. So if I paste it into this window, this visual window, all that code comes in. And you can see that HTML code when you come into here. But we don't really want this, do we? We don't want these unique classes of BLK22 AAA body text or anything like that, right? So what we need to do is we need to paste this text into this text window. And then we start from fresh. And then then we'll need to go into the visual editor just to update those carriage returns. All right. And this is more of an advanced editor. If we go into the style menu, this is a terrible font, by the way. If we go, let's just go to Arial font so we can see this better. Go back into content. And from in here, you've got a lot more options for editing the text. Like we can make it bold, bold italic. We can link the text. So we could put in a URL in there, for instance. You can have bulleted text or numbered text. So there's a numbered list there, or we could go for a bulleted list, or we could turn that list off. We've got quotes. We've got you could make a different color, unique color in here just for that particular word. So that's the more advanced text widget, and you can pretty much look up all these widgets online to see what they do. You've got your video widgets. So if you want to chuck in a YouTube video, you'd chuck that in there. You'd grab a link from YouTube, you'd find a video, and you'd grab the link from there and just whack that in. And you can also upload your own thumbnail on that. This is the basic. This is the basic one. But I've got a more advanced video widget in there as well. Let me show you a more advanced one. So when I can get this. Just a sec. This mouse, it's really getting to me. So we'll delete that widget. We'll go in here and we'll look for other video widgets. So again, these advanced plugins, there's a video gallery, video playlist, or video. This is a really good video widget. I really like this one because you can upload your own thumbnail and overlay here. So thumbnail size, maximum resolution, custom thumbnail, yes. Drop in any picture for that video thumbnail. I do all this the time when I'm sharing videos, especially to Facebook and stuff like that. Choose your own play button. Choose the color of the play button. You can have a YouTube subscribe bar. You've got to add in the YouTube channel for that, etc., etc. Just back to basic principles again. Obviously, that video is too close. We need to turn on the margin there and put some space in above the top. Back to this text widget. I didn't show you all the features on that. We can have multiple columns with this text widget, which makes life really quite simple when you've got loads of text. Obviously, the other way to do it would be to get 3 columns in there, to drop in a text editor and just copy just that first bit of text if you wanted to do it manually, and you'd need to drop that in there. Again, drop it into the text window, and then what we would do is probably duplicate that window, that widget, drop that in there, and rinse and repeat. All right, I think that pretty much shows you. No, I'll show you a few more things. So we come to here, and so there's a really bad layout that I've made. All right, we go back into Elementor, and say we were in love with, oh God, this is such a great design, I'm going to use this for my other pages. You'd come down here to update and save that as a template and call it my new design. And then that way you can just call it up in here and go to my templates and look for my new design and call it up that way. Not only that, you can also save sections as widgets as well. So do a right click there and save just that section as a template. So you can save pages as templates or sections as templates. All right. What else can I add to this? I already showed you that negative margin there that we would need to fix. And notice, because I've got my link on, I'm applying that negative margin to not just the top but also the bottom, which does interesting things. It's making that video overlap that section. So yeah, I mean, so sometimes you can use that as a design feature if you're wanting to create that type of layout. The other way to do it would be to turn off that link, right? Get rid of that bottom margin, but you could still do the same thing here, right? We could go in for a negative margin at the top that way and bring that in over. And there's other plugins that will actually do all sorts of cascading images over the top of one another. Look, that's probably it for a really basic overview of a basic WordPress install with the Astra theme using Elementor. If you've got any other questions, please hit me up. What we're going to do now is... no, I think I'll leave it like that, because all you need to do is log in, right? All you need to do is log in, and to start from scratch, obviously what you'd want to do is start to delete these elements. If you wanted to start from scratch, just delete that, and then start fresh again, and then press update. And if you thought, oh, if you've made a mistake and, oh no, I've lost all that stuff, you could actually press undo. Undo works for quite a few ways, or you could just not save it and you could just go to view the page without saving it, and that'll come up that way. So yeah, so there's, as you can see, there's a lot to explore. The main things to remember is you've got universal settings for the colors, the fonts, the container width, the button colors, all sorts of things under global settings. You can override all of those things in the Elementor widgets themselves anyway. You can make templates when you start to reuse designs and just rinse and repeat. You can create templates, or you can create headers and footers that apply to every page or just individual pages. Look, the sky's the limit, really. So love to know what you think of this video, and if you've got any other questions, thanks so much for watching.